Hollywood has always been in the business of selling dreams. The perfect hero, the storybook ending, the flawless movie star. For a century, its main product has been mythology, carefully built fantasies, projected on a silver screen, creating a world that feels more glamorous, more heroic, and more perfect than our own. But what happens when the screen goes dark? Behind the fantasy, there's a much darker story. It's a story the industry has fought tooth and nail to bury, a history written in hushed whispers, redacted police reports, and ruined lives. These aren't just tales of celebrity slip-ups or tabloid fodder. These are the scandals that expose a deep-rooted system of power, corruption, and control. A system where fame was a shield, money was a gag order, and the studio was often judge, jury, and executioner. From the secrets the first movie moguls silenced with cash and threats, to the modern reckonings that have toppled icons, this is the story of the scandals that truly shaped Hollywood. We're about to pull back the curtain on the moments the industry desperately tried to erase. If you're as fascinated by the hidden history of Hollywood as we are, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because you won't want to miss what's coming. Now, let us know in the comments below, how many of these scandals have you already heard of? In the beginning, Hollywood was chaos. The early 1920s were the industry's Wild West, a boomtown of instant millionaires, artistic rebels, and wild parties that could rage for days. Silent film stars were the new American gods, worshipped by millions, but their behavior was often anything but divine. And when their recklessness threatened the entire fledgling industry, the studios learned their first and most important rule: control the story, no matter what it costs. This gave rise to the cover-up, an art form perfected during one of the biggest scandals in American history. The man at the center of it all was Roscoe, Fatty Arbuckle. In 1921, Arbuckle was literally one of the biggest stars in the world. A comedic genius often ranked second only to Charlie Chaplin. He was one of the first actors to sign a multi-million-dollar contract. To the public, he was the lovable, portly clown, a symbol of innocent fun. That all came crashing down on September 5th, 1921, during a Labor Day party in his suite at San Francisco's Street Francis Hotel. One of the guests was a young, aspiring actress named Virginia Rappe. What exactly happened in that hotel room is a chaotic mess of alcohol and conflicting testimonies. All we know for sure is that Rappe became violently ill. A few days later, she was dead from a ruptured bladder. Another party guest accused Arbuckle of a brutal assault, claiming he was responsible for her fatal injury. The story exploded. Newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst, a master of sensationalism, saw his chance. His papers ran lurid, often completely fabricated headlines, painting Arbuckle as a monster. He was charged with manslaughter, and the public, fed a daily diet of outrage, turned on him with shocking ferocity. Arbuckle endured 3 grueling trials. The first 2 ended with hung juries. At the third and final trial, the jury not only acquitted him in about 5 minutes, but also took the extraordinary step of issuing a formal written apology. The foreman read, "Acquittal is not enough for Roscoe Arbuckle. We feel that a great injustice has been done him." There was not the slightest proof adduced to connect him in any way with the commission of a crime. But it was too late. The court of public opinion, whipped into a frenzy by the press, had already passed its sentence. His films were banned, his name became a punchline for depravity, and the career of one of the world's most beloved stars was destroyed. The Arbuckle case sent a shockwave of fear through the Hollywood studios. They saw how quickly their multi-million-dollar investments could be wiped out by a scandal. The public was starting to see Hollywood not as a dream factory, but as a den of sin. In response, the industry began a process of self-regulation. This was a climate that led to the creation of the Motion Picture Production Code, better known as the Hays Code, a set of moral guidelines adopted in 1930 to sanitize films and control the lives of its stars. This brought on the era of the morality clause in contracts and, more importantly, the rise of the studio fixer. These fixers were shadowy, powerful figures, part publicist, part private eye, and part gangster. Their job was to make problems disappear. Men like MGM's Howard Strickling and Eddie Mannix were the secret architects of Hollywood's clean image. Did a starlet get pregnant after an affair with a married leading man? It's long been rumored that fixers would arrange a quiet appendectomy, as was allegedly the case for an affair between Clark Gable and Loretta Young. Did a star get into a drunk driving accident? A fixer might bribe the police and have a studio subordinate take the fall. They covered up drug use, gambling, and affairs, using a mix of payoffs, threats, and brilliant media manipulation. The unsolved death of actress Thelma Todd in 1935 is a chilling example of their possible influence. Todd was found dead in her car from carbon monoxide poisoning. While officially ruled an accident or suicide, she had ties to mobster Lucky Luciano and had reportedly refused his demands to allow illegal gambling in her restaurant. Many believed she was murdered, a theory the studios had zero interest in exploring. The case remains officially unsolved, another secret buried in the Hollywood Hills. These fixers weren't just protecting stars, they were protecting the system. The Arbuckle scandal taught them a brutal lesson. The truth is, whatever you can get the public to believe. With the fixer system firmly in place, Hollywood's golden age from the 1930s to the 1950s projected an image of perfect virtue. Stars were sold as American ideals, their lives supposedly as wholesome as the characters they played. The morality clause in their contracts gave studios terrifying power. Any behavior deemed immoral could mean the end of a career. But this was the height of hypocrisy. Behind the scenes, the studios didn't enforce morality. They enabled, and then concealed, the very behavior they publicly condemned, all while wielding a level of control that was monstrously abusive. No story shows this dark reality better than the tragic life of Judy Garland. When MGM signed her as a teenager, they saw a generational talent. They also saw a product to be molded. To keep her thin, and working through punishing schedules on films like The Wizard of Oz, the studio systematically fed her drugs. Studio doctors gave her amphetamines pep pills to keep her awake for 1 8-hour workdays. Then, they'd give her barbiturates to knock her out. This studio-sanctioned addiction started when she was a child and haunted her for the rest of her life. She was a cash cow, and the studio would do anything to keep the assembly line moving, even if it destroyed the young woman at its center. While some stars were victims, others challenged the system with their own wild behavior, forcing the fixers to work overtime. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckling hero of films like The Adventures of Robin Hood, had a reputation as a hard-drinking, legendary womanizer. In 1942, that reputation caught up to him when he was put on trial for the statutory rape of 2 teenage girls. The studio's PR machine went into overdrive, painting the accusers as liars and Flynn as the victim. Incredibly, he was acquitted, but the scandal cemented his image as a charming rogue who played by his own rules. It seemed the public was willing to forgive its male heroes, a courtesy rarely extended to female stars. The case of Lana Turner and Johnny Stompanato shows just how far a studio would go to protect its leading lady. In 1958, Turner's abusive boyfriend, a gangster named Johnny Stompanato, was stabbed to death in her Beverly Hills home. The person holding the knife wasn't Turner. It was her 4-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane. The scandal had the potential to ruin everyone involved. MGM immediately sent its top fixer, Howard Strickling, and the legendary lawyer Jerry Giesler. They didn't just manage the story, they wrote it. They created a narrative of a terrified girl defending her mother from a violent maniac. Dramatic love letters from Turner to Stompanato were leaked, painting her as a woman trapped in a dangerous passion. At the inquest, Turner gave the performance of her life, collapsing on the stand as she described Stompanato's abuse. The result? A ruling of justifiable homicide. Cheryl Crane faced no charges, and Lana Turner's career not only survived, but thrived. The scandal transformed into a real-life melodrama for public consumption. But some secrets were just too dark to spin. The death of George Reeves in 1959 is one of those. Best known as TV's Superman, Reeves was found dead from a single gunshot to the head, officially ruled a suicide. But his friends never believed it. Reeves had been having an affair with Toni Mannix, the wife of MGM's infamous fixer, Eddie Mannix. Just before his death, Reeves had ended the affair and gotten engaged. Rumors swirled that a furious Toni, or maybe even Eddie himself, had arranged his murder. The police investigation was suspiciously short, and evidence that contradicted the suicide ruling was ignored. With a cozy relationship between the studios and the LAPD, no one was eager to look too deeply into the death of an actor tied to one of the most powerful men in town. The official story stood, but the questions have lingered for decades. And sometimes, a scandal was so bizarre it defied even the logic of the fixers. Actress Gloria Grahame, an Oscar winner, was reportedly caught in bed in 1951 with her husband Nicholas, Ray's 3-year-old son, Tony. The discovery ended her marriage to the director. Then, in an almost unbelievable twist, Grahame reconnected with Tony years later and married him in 1960. The affair and subsequent marriage were an open secret that scandalized an era obsessed with public morality, proving that sometimes the truth behind the Hollywood glamour was stranger and more disturbing than any script. As the old studio system crumbled, so did its total control over the story. The rise of tabloid TV, the 2-4-hour news cycle, and finally the internet created a world where secrets were much harder to keep. Scandals were no longer problems for fixers to quietly manage. They were public spectacles, playing out in courtrooms and across global media. The power was shifting, and decades of buried secrets were about to erupt. A key turning point was Roman Polanski's 1977 case. The acclaimed director was arrested for the rape of a 13-year-old girl. After pleading guilty to a lesser charge, he fled the United States before his sentencing and has remained a fugitive from American justice ever since. Unlike in the Golden Age, there was no fixer to make this disappear. It became an international legal saga, an undeniable stain on his legacy that proved celebrity was no longer a get-out-of-jail-free card. The 1990s brought scandals right into our living rooms. In 1992, director Woody Allen's affair with Soon-Yi Previn, the adopted daughter of his longtime partner Mia Farrow, became a shocking public drama. In 1996, the theft and leak of a private sex tape of Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee launched the era of revenge porn and digital exploitation, showing how a private moment could be turned into a global commodity. But nothing could have prepared the industry for the earthquake that hit in October 2017. Investigations by the New York Times and the New Yorker detailed decades of sexual abuse allegations against one of Hollywood's most powerful producers, Harvey Weinstein. As more than 80 women came forward, the stories were horrifyingly similar. Young actresses lured to hotel rooms for meetings, only to be met with demands, threats, and assault. A picture emerged of a serial predator who used his immense power to abuse and silence victims for years. This was the spark that ignited the Me Too movement. The hashtag went viral, creating a platform for survivors worldwide to share their stories. It was a dam breaking. Long, simmering secrets about powerful men finally boiled over. Bill Cosby, once America's dad, was convicted in 2018 for sexual assault, but his conviction was overturned in 2021 on a legal technicality related to a non-prosecution agreement. Though he was freed, his legacy was shattered. R&B singer R. Kelly faced a final reckoning for decades of abuse and trafficking allegations. The movement exposed not just individuals, but the systems that enabled them. In 2023, That 70s Show actor Danny Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life for raping 2 women 2 decades earlier. The trial revealed that the Church of Scientology, where Masterson and his victims were members, had allegedly worked for years to silence the women and cover up the crimes. And the scandals kept evolving. The 2019 college admissions scandal saw celebrities like Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin convicted for bribing their kids' way into elite universities. In 2020, a BuzzFeed News expose on The Ellen DeGeneres Show revealed a toxic workplace, shattering DeGeneres' Be Kind image and eventually ending the show. The battles rage on today. Federal raids on music mogul Sean Diddy Combs' properties in 2024 have led to a major sex trafficking case, with a trial date set for May 2025. The Harvey Weinstein saga itself took a stunning turn in April 2024, when his 2020 New York rape conviction was overturned on appeal. The court found that the judge had allowed prejudicial testimony. However, Weinstein remains in prison on a separate 6-year sentence from a 2022 Los Angeles conviction, and a retrial in New York is expected. It's a stark reminder that even when the truth is out, the fight for accountability is a long and brutal one. From the smoky backrooms of the silent era to the public courtrooms of today, the history of Hollywood scandal is a constant struggle over power and truth. What do you think is the most impactful scandal in Hollywood history? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this deep dive compelling, give this video a like and consider subscribing for more hidden histories. The arc of Hollywood history is long, but it seems to be bending ever so slowly towards the light. The era of the all-powerful fixer who could make a body disappear or a crime vanish is over. We now live in a world of constant scrutiny, where victims have a platform and secrets have a much shorter shelf life. But the core dynamics of power, fame, and money haven't gone anywhere. The scandals of the past century aren't just salacious stories, they're cautionary tales. They reveal a system that was built to protect predators and exploit the vulnerable. They show us the human cost of the dreams Hollywood sells. And while the industry has been forced to confront some of its darkest truths, the ongoing legal battles prove that the fight for a truly safe and equitable Hollywood is far from over. The curtain has been pulled back, and the machinery behind the magic is a sight that can't be unseen.